and stuff, this is Taco and I'm making analysis videos again. I haven't done this in a really long time, like I think maybe years? But if you want to subscribe so you can actually see me do them again, feel free to. Anyways, first things first, take a listen to this.
These games offer an alternate story taking place in the world of Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon, featuring Pokemon that didn't appear in the original versions.
This game was announced to be an alternate timeline. That means it's not a sequel like Black and White 2, even though we have two versions like Black and White 2. Instead, think of it like Emerald or Platinum, or maybe even Yellow. Basically the old way of doing things with a third version, but with two of those third versions. Obviously, the post-game will be all new, just like with any third version, so we can expect some continuation there. It's worth pointing out that there are actually more similarities with Black and White 2, namely the fusion-esque legendaries that seem to be combined with Necrozma, and that Colress, the guy who originally created the Black and White 2 fusions, also happens to be in Sun and Moon. By the way, a good example of this alternate timeline business would be the player character's default clothing and their rooms. We can easily compare the differences of the two boys' room from the trailers, like the paint, the globe. Wait, whose signature is that? Is that a switch? Moving a bit forward in the trailer, we see this high-resolution cutscene of the player character using what is obviously a black Z-ring. Now this is different because it's not a white Z-ring, although it has a bit of white on it. Basically, this tied with that switching motion, switch, and then also compared to the fact that the legendaries are all covered in black armor, I think it's safe to assume that this ties in with their new Ultra forms. Now, I'm going to take you on a bit of a narrative journey here, a journey that has to do with Pokemon Sun and Moon coming to Switch. Now, everyone wanted whatever this game was going to be to come to Switch. This, unfortunately, would be against Game Freak's history to jump into the next console so early, essentially abandoning the previous console's user base. But Game Freak doesn't always follow history, and there were some signs that a Switch port was possible. The game could simply just use their less restricted character models, aka the higher resolution ones, such as Pikipek from the reveal trailer, and the more powerful Switch port. And Pokemon Sun and Moon had already scaled back on touch functions with their UI, so it wouldn't be that difficult of an outcome to picture. Also, I have to point out that Pokemon being on Switch really gained traction after the release of the very grounded Stars rumor from Eurogamer. Now, this all came to a head when we found out directly from the Pokemon Company International about Ultra Sun and Moon being 3DS exclusive. But that wasn't the end of the story, because very quickly afterwards, screen grabs started surfacing from the Pokemon Company's press sites from all different regions, listing a Switch version as to be announced. The internet went from, so sad, no Switch version, to, heck yeah, a Switch version eventually. But the story continued, because moments later, Pokemon contacted Kotaku back saying this was a mistake, and that Ultra Sun and Moon were absolutely 3DS exclusive. Hard times. But I'd like to give you some hope. First of all, Game Freak is absolutely working on Pokemon for Switch at some point, due to a job listing a while back mentioning home console development. And second of all, there was a leak a while back that got swept under the rug. A leak that has suddenly become very relevant. The leak goes as follows. Blah blah blah, a bunch of information that isn't correct anymore. My source did not provide clear info about the names either, but tags used in material for the game were Pokemon Sun, Moon, Eclipse, Ultra. So the games could be Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and Eclipse, or Eclipse Sun blah 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 blah, incorrect information. No other combinations made sense in my opinion. Regarding game features, my source told me that the Switch games and 3DS games would be compatible, blah 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 blah. You can read the rest yourself. This fits so in line with today's announcement, and now I'd like to bring your attention to the title, Eclipse, something that isn't a part of any Pokemon Sun and Moon entry as of yet. The Pokemon Company International statement is that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon would be 3DS exclusive. Nowhere in that statement mentions that any other possible version would be as well. Statements are always careful with their wordings, so I wouldn't be surprised if this went, honestly, either way. Moving on, as per tradition, whenever there is a symbol of sorts tied to the game's story, like the Mega Evolution Helix in X and Y, you'll find it incorporated into the Japanese logo. This game is no exception, as you'll find the legendary's third eye crest thing on top of their forehead is neatly located, right where expected in the logo. Lastly, I want to point out two other peculiar moments in the trailers. The first being early on, we see Ishihara talking in front of a shelf of games, and there seems to be a very specific generation missing. Yes, it's the generation many people were hoping for a remake of, Generation 4. Tisk tisk. And secondly, in a separate but related trailer uploaded to Pokemon's channel later on, a secret message is ready to be found. Gold and silver, not crystal, are coming to Virtual Console, and not long into the trailer we visit a 2.5D render of the Alph ruins. The text reads, "Uncover the mysteries of the Johto region," and if you have eagle eyes, you'll notice something written in unknown. Ultra, Sun, Moon. What could this mean? Is this just a random Easter egg due to the fact that they were both announced on the same day? Or rather, does the Johto region have ties with Ultra Sun and Moon in the same way Kanto has ties with not Ultra Sun and Moon? I mean, this is an alternate timeline after all. I guess only time will tell. Anyways, thank you for watching my video. I actually have one more thing to point out. If you look at the field of view in the new version of Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon, you'll notice that it's a lot wider than usual. Not by much, but if you just added like the sides of the road onto the sides of the road and then combined them, you'll notice that everything is just almost widescreen now. I would actually suspect this might be a link to the idea that there might be a Switch version. I haven't seen anyone talk about this, but there is definitely a higher amount of, is that foliage in the field of view, and the field of view is also wider. I find that odd, and I just wanted to point that out. Anyways, subscribe. I just rambled on. That part wasn't part of anything. I just kept talking. So yeah, subscribe. I'm gonna do more of these soon, I figure. Mostly I do this on Twitter though, so if you just want to follow me on Twitter, I usually have something that takes off, like something I find before anyone else. So if you want to get like the newest, at least one new thing that no one else has gotten before, feel free to follow me on Twitter. I try my best to find some of the more obscure stuff there. Anyways, I'm gonna drink some water, because I'm talking a lot. This is a long video now. Anyways, bye.